Hi there, my name is Marley and welcome to my booktube channel. This is my very first video of 2023 and it is going to be my January TBR where I'm going to tell you all about the books I want to read this month. One of my main goals for the year in terms of reading is to read more of my physical TBR. So you will definitely notice that in this TBR that these are mostly my owned books that I have had for way too long on my TBR cart that I really need to get to. And you can see that I'm doing a little bit of a fun TBR game, you could say, where I get my cat Peach to help me with picking out some of the books. Basically, I just wanted a fun way to try and read more of my physical TBR, so I got Peach to help me, which you'll see later in the video. But to start off, I do have my themed reading vlog that I'm going to be doing, and I do have a set TBR for that. I'll leave the theme as a mystery for now, but these are the 3 books I plan on reading for that vlog. First up, we have All of Us Villains, and this is by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. This is a YA fantasy novel, and I believe it's just a duology. It's a 2-book series. The Blood Moon Rises, The Blood Veil Falls, The Tournament Begins. Basically, this is like a magical tournament or competition series. Don't know too much more than that about it, but I just love those tropes. I love magical competitions, so very excited to read this. Speaking of magical competitions, we have Legendary by Stephanie Garber. Last year, Caraval was one of my favorite books that I read, and this is the sequel. It is another YA fantasy series that has to do with a magical competition called Caraval that these 2 sisters end up getting wrapped up in. There's a lot of like adventure, there's some mystery, there's some romance, a lot of really fun stuff. First book followed the one sister, and then this book is following the second sister. So I'm a little nervous I won't like it as much just with it being a new point of view. But yeah, I'm very excited to be hopping into this world again. Sorry, the cover is not showing up very well in this lighting. And then finally we have The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson, and this is the 4th book in the Truly Devious series. The first 3 books I really loved. They follow a young detective taking on this case at her boarding school, trying to figure out this really old murder case while there's like current crimes happening in today as well that she has to solve. And then this is like a spin-off 1-book mystery that I believe takes place at a camp that our main character goes to with some of her friends, and she again is just trying to solve this like old case that never was solved. I know the series is continuing again with another book. I guess it's just gonna be like a never-ending series now, I don't know, with a bunch of different mysteries, but I've heard some people say they like this even more than the original trilogy. So again, very excited about this. I have a very exciting TBR. Then we have my book club book that I do with my friends, and this month I actually didn't pick the book. Normally I do pick it, but someone else picked it this month, so I really don't know much about this book, but it's called The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. The reason we chose this one is we wanted to pick a book that has a movie adaptation. So I think it has one that's either out or coming out, and we want to all watch that movie together at our book club meeting. So basically what I know about this is not much. As I said, I think it's a contemporary fiction book. On the faded island book sign hanging over the porch of the Victorian cottage is the motto, "No man is an island, every book is a world." A.J. Fikry, the irascible owner, is about to discover just what that truly means. So it's about this man whose wife has recently died, his bookstore's doing terribly, and he just had some of his poetry stolen, and he's just isolating himself for a lot of people. So maybe this will be similar to A Man Called Ove. As surprising as it is moving, The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry is an unforgettable tale of transformation and second chances, an irresistible affirmation of why we read and why we love. So it's also a lot about like being a book lover and stuff, so that should be fun. And the only other book I'm gonna kind of plan to read before we get into the books that Peach picked for me is that Chain of Thorns comes out, I think it's January 31st. So I probably won't read too much of it, in January, but I definitely will pick it up like as soon as it comes out. If you don't know, Chain of Thorns is by Cassandra Clare. It's the 3rd book in her Last Hours trilogy, which is a part of the bigger Shadowhunters world. I absolutely love her books. They're my favorite books. She's my favorite author. So I think I'm going to be doing probably one of my like spoiler reading vlogs for that book, and I'll just dive into like my thoughts on the entire book. Yeah, I'm so excited for that book. I love that series. Okay, now I'm going to show you the books that I'm going to offer Peach to pick for me. I think I've seen someone else do this. I think it was Katie and her cat, where she laid out 3 books and then put little treats on each of them, and then it was whatever book or treat the cat went to that would be the book that they would read. So you'll see the clips and you'll get what I mean. Basically, I separated into 3 different categories, so she picked 3 different books for me. I just thought that was the easiest way to do it. The first category I went with was fantasy. I have a lot of fantasy books that I gotta get to. So the 3 that I put out for Peach to pick were Finale by Stephanie Garber. As you already saw, I plan on reading the 2nd Caraval book this month. So I just figure maybe I could just finish off the series and read the 3rd one as well. And then speaking of finishing a series, we have When Night Breaks by Janella Angeles, and this is the 2nd book in a duology. I read the 1st book last year and really loved it, called Where Dreams Descend. So I'd love to finish this off. And then I put out Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. You of course have probably heard of her, the author of Shadow and Bone. And this is her other series that I would really like to get into as well. So let's see what Peachy picked. And go! Go! Do you see it? Do you see the tree? Do you see them? You gotta smell them. Gotta sniff them out. Look. 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 Gotta smell them. Look. I don't want to lead her, but like, she's just going where my finger's going. Peach. Look. Look. Look at these treats. Oh my god, Peach. It's right by your face. It's right. See? See that treat? Good, Peachy, you chose that book. So as you can see, when Peach finally noticed the treats and figured out what we were doing, she went over to Finale. So this is what I'm going to be reading. I've already talked to you about the series, but yeah, very excited to just finish off the series. Next up, I gave her 3 thriller books. These are a little bit more of like backlist thrillers. So I put The Couple Next Door by Shari Lapena. I absolutely adore Shari Lapena's work, so I'm really just trying to finish off her backlist. I think this is like her most popular book. Then you guys have heard me talk about Miss Ruth Ware. Again, speaking of finishing off backlist, this is her only book that I have not read yet, called The Lying Game. And then another iconic thriller author, we have Karen Slaughter, and this was her release from last year or 2 years ago that I still haven't got to, but I really enjoy most of her thrillers, so would love if Peach picked this. Go free! Find the treat! Yes, Peachy! You picked a different one. Good, Peachy. Okay. Alrighty, as you saw, Peach picked The Lying Game by Ruth Ware. So this premise is very similar to a lot of books I've read. It seems that it's about these friends who back in school, like college I think, used to always play these little pranks, or it's called The Lying Game, do these little tricks on people, and now it is like years later and basically their past is coming back to haunt them. So pretty typical, but I think I've seen some people say that this is their favorite Ruth Ware, and I've also seen people say it's like her absolute worst book yet, so we'll see how I feel about it. And then the last category I did was kind of like a contemporary or like other category. So the 3 books I put out are Taylor Jenkins Reid's newest book, Carrie Soto is Back. This is the one I was hoping Peach would pick. I'm obviously very excited about this one as I love her books. Then I put out You Have a Match by Emma Lord. This is a YA contemporary novel. I liked her first book, Tweet Cute. Been wanting to read this one as well. Then we also have The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is a YA contemporary book that I believe is written in poetry. I have not dived into any of Elizabeth Acevedo's books yet, but I know she's pretty popular on BookTube, so I definitely would like to start reading her books. Let's see what Peach picked. And release! Okay, that one again. Good girl, Peachy. You can have another treats now. Here you go. Here. You need those. Alright, as you saw, Peach picked The Poet X. I think she was sort of liking that spot in the line of books. So it seems like this is actually about a girl who loves poetry, slam poetry, and so she sort of dives into that world. But I think her mother doesn't want her to, and sounds like her mother's like kind of religious and stuff. And then I assume it also just deals with a lot of other things that young girls are going through. So it should be a pretty hard-hitting, quick read as well as it is written in verse, as you can see. Alright, so that is going to be my TBR for January. I think it's a pretty stacked list for the first month of the year. Pretty excited about it. So leave me a comment below to let me know what you think of this TBR. Should I do more videos where Peach picks my TBR? It was kind of a whole ordeal to set up, so I don't know if I will. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you've not already, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!